USC QB Caleb Williams won the Heisman Trophy in 2022, and he is the betting favorite to become the second two-time winner since Ohio State's Archie Griffin. Now, he did that nearly 50 years ago. Let's bring on coaching insider Jesse Simonton to talk about his recent article where Jesse names his own top 10 candidates to win the Heisman in 2023. Jesse, as we take a look at your list here, why is it so hard to repeat as a Heisman Trophy winner in today's day and age of college football?
The simplest explanation, Josh, is really just voter fatigue. I mean, there's so many voters out there, and they're split into these, regional kind of breakdowns. And so folks just kind of, basically get attracted to a new flavor. Bryce Young went into last season with a decent shot at repeating, and yet even though he was arguably a more valuable player for Alabama than he was the year he won the Heisman, he didn't even really get to sniff the award in 2022. I think Caleb Williams could be an outlier because of his unique situation a year ago, winning this award. First time since 2016, Lamar Jackson, that a player won the Heisman that wasn't on a college football playoff team. That has kind of become the framework here, Josh. You pretty much need to be a quarterback, and you need to be a quarterback on a team that's competing for a championship. USC was close a year ago, but they didn't make the field. If they return to the field, Caleb Williams could actually, become that second two-time winner, joining that elusive club with Archie.
Yeah. Now, what if USC doesn't make the playoffs? Does that will that make it really hard or eliminate him maybe from Heisman contention?
I do think that would be an uphill battle. If the Trojans do not live up to expectations, if, let's say, Utah, goes three straight in the Pac-12, or maybe a Michael Penix at Washington or a Bo Nix at Oregon, beats out Caleb Williams, not only for the Pac-12, but potentially, for an invite to New York. So the avenue's there for Caleb. If he throws for 4,500 yards and 50 touchdowns again, he's surrounded by even better talent, I think you could argue, this season. USC's defense should be much better, which obviously that has nothing to do with Caleb Williams' individual statistics for the Heisman, but that will boost his chances as the quote-unquote, team performer. The quarterback gets all the credit. So,
yeah, that's kind of how it works. All right, I'm looking at your list, QB after QB after QB, but then we get to there's a non-QB position player that you have in your top 10, Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver, Ohio State. Was there any other position players that you even considered for this list?
Well, so I broke down, and you can go check this out at On3, but I broke down the top 5 candidates from each individual conference before making my final top 10 overall list. And I did have several running backs and a couple other receivers sprinkled in there. My mentions were in flames when this piece came out, with Michigan fans taking the torches to me on Twitter, because how did I not have Blake Corum on this list? The running back who was, probably positioned to make it to New York last year if he did not tear his ACL. My retort or rebuttal to that is, A, it's extremely difficult for a running back to win. Derrick Henry, 2015, he needed over 2,000 yards to do that. So that's just a huge outlier situation in its own right. But B, I don't think Blake Corum is going to be the best running back on his team this year. And so while I really like the senior, I think it's great for college football that he came back to play his senior season for Michigan, try to get them back to a third straight Big Ten title. I think Donovan Edwards is going to be the better running back on that team. I think Michigan's going to be careful with Blake Corum early in the season because he is coming off this, big-time knee injury. So when you add those two dynamics together, plus the fact it's just hard for a running back to win, I don't see Blake Corum being in that position. Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver, Ohio State, potential outlier because he might just be the best individual football player in the sport, not named Caleb Williams.
All right. Give me your dark horse to win the Heisman Trophy this year.
So this guy was on my honorable mention list, but you could make a strong case that he actually should be in the top 10 and not Drake May. Again, your team needs to be in the college football playoff mix or get to the college football playoff these days to actually win the Heisman Trophy. I don't think North Carolina is going to be that great, So what if you take away Drake May and put Carson Beck, Georgia quarterback? I think he's a guy. Stetson Bennett made it to New York a year ago. I think Carson Beck, folks are maybe a little bit sleeping on his chances because he's surrounded by so much talent in Athens, and Georgia is expected to go, 11-1, 12-0 in the regular season.
Wow, I really like the Carson Beck pick. Talk about one and done. Wow, if he wins the Heisman, that'd be something.
Never started a game.
Yeah. So do you think that Caleb Williams repeats as the Heisman Trophy winner? Who's your ultimate pick this year to win the Heisman?
My ultimate pick, I'm going to actually buck history, and I think Caleb would do it. I would bet on his potential upside and make history. And I just think that's also you're making a bet that Lincoln Riley is going to get back to the playoff. Mm-hmm. And I think with the roster that USC's assembled, I think that's a pretty good bet as well.
All right. Well, you guys watching this video, leave a comment in the video below. Who do you think is going to win the Heisman Trophy? Do you agree with Jesse's list, or do you have a dark horse candidate that you think is going to take home the hardware? All right, Jesse, thanks for stopping by Coach's Corner, talking a little Heisman Trophy with us today.
Appreciate you having me, Josh.
Thank you for watching. Make sure you smash that subscribe button for me, and remember to check out all the videos on the On3 YouTube page.